Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, and today I would like to do the Elemental Tarot and Oracle card reading for the month of December for the air signs and the air energy. The zodiac signs that are associated with air are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And if you've ever had your charts read, most of the time they'll have an elemental balance on there. So if air is high on that, these messages are for you. These messages are, of course, done for a group, not just for one individual person. So if the messages resonate with you, that message is for you. If it does not, then it's for someone else. And take what you can use and leave the rest. I read intuitively, and I could read a guide or guardian for each week of the month. A message from source. These are usually positive, reinforced type messages. And then a lesson or challenge, which I draw from the tarot. And as such, when I read intuitively, the messages may not be what's written in the books, but they are what needs to come through at the moment. There are 5 weeks in December, 4.5, but we'll go with 5. And so we'll start off with the first week, and it is the guide of the Source Dragon. Attunes you to the infinite. Be still. In the silence, magic can happen. And be in the moment. So this card is really about beginning something new. What is it you want to create? Air signs are, the air element is really about moving forward. They are intellectual. They're trying to analyze and put things together. And the Source Dragon is coming through saying, let's see what you can create. What is it you're looking at? What intentions and plans do you want to put into practice? And let's work with divine God source energy to bring those practices and those intentions into a more active, planned out state. Air element energy likes to have a structure, and this dragon is saying, let's come forward, let's work together, and let's help design and develop your next course of action. So your message from source is opportunity knocks, go for it. So in the first, your guide is the Source Dragon saying, let's work on a plan, let's get things moving, let's start setting things in motion, but we have to start somewhere. And this card is saying opportunity is knocking. So really setting yourself up for success is the purpose of this first week of the month. It's really about working on setting your new intentions, developing your new plans, bringing your awareness into that higher frequency, connecting you to source God energy that allows you to see the bigger plan and where your position is within that plan. Now, your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Queen of Chalices. So chalices are a water energy, and this card is really about understanding your emotions. Air signs tend to want to work exclusively in the mind, whether it's being flighty and daydreaming or working on something very logical and analytical. But the Queen of Chalices is coming forward saying it's time to also incorporate your emotions into what you're doing. It's great to be intellectual and logical and focused on these high thought ideas, but if you don't have the emotions to go with them, you come off as cold, you come off as calculating. When you tap into this water energy, it's also a feminine energy that brings forward a more gentle aspect, and it makes you understand the deeper actions. Like if you take the next step, what is going to be the result and who's going to be affected? And so this card is coming forward to say, just remember you're working on developing and you're moving forward and you've got these big plans, but don't forget to incorporate what is going to happen in the world around you as you do that, and making sure that you are grounding your logic with some level of an emotional balance. So let's look at the second week of December. It is the Green Gold Dragon from Sirius. Brings in universal knowledge to your spiritual path. Learn about spiritual technology and be a transmuter of sacred knowledge. So this dragon is coming forward because in the first week, it's all about setting yourself up to move into the next plan, working on these, how you fit into the picture, your divine opportunities in the first week. The second week is really about, now you're starting to work that plan. You're starting to look at how things can process, fine-tuning stuff, and this dragon is coming in saying, it's time to tap into source at a higher level. You have your plan now. How does that connect in? What can you bring down from the divine God source energy to help move your plan forward? How can you adjust or tweak it? Listening very closely to your intuition during this time, and that can actually come through people around you. I've had it happen when I'm reading a book. A sentence or a phrase will click, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is just reinforcing that. And learning about spiritual technology is learning a new skill like Reiki, learning chakra healings. These are all what we would call spiritual technology, because science hasn't quite figured it out yet, and that happens. So they don't see this as functional, but those who've had experiences with it 100% will say that this is very real. And it is a technology that is basically grounded in our DNA. And what this card is saying is tap into that knowledge and allow it to bloom forward. And by doing so, you'll bring that spiritual light and energy into what you're practicing and what you're creating next. Let's look at the message from Source. And we have the Angel of Miracles. Open your heart and expect miracles. So you have the green gold dragon from Sirius coming forward saying, bring in that divine God source energy and really focus on enhancing your tools, what tools you have available to you in a spiritual sense. And this one is saying, and then become expectant. Know that the intentions that you're setting, know that the plans you're working on, physical plans, spiritual, mental, relationship, all of them, expect them to work. And this card is saying when you have an alignment with God's source divine energy, it allows the universe to conspire in your favor. And if you're already in a state of pleasant expectation, it allows you to move into that manifesting period much quicker. And this card is really saying step into that and really focus on being in that point of accepting miracles. Be willing to accept them and be grateful when they manifest. So your message or your challenge or your lesson from the tarot is the Four of Pentacles. So this is the Four of Earth. And this could be bringing in that balancing energy of the four elements, learning to work in balance with earth, air, fire, and water. The number 4 is really about balance and being able to section things off and find boundaries. So this second week, is really about tapping into how can you structure your life to find a more perfect balance. And is there a way that you can bring in the 4 elements into your life? Because when you have all 4 elements, the 5th one just exists. And the 5th element is spirit. Earth, air, fire, water. And then you have spirit that holds everything in balance and holds everything in place. And what this card is really challenging you on is how can you bring balance into your life and find that spiritual aspect to what's coming in your life. So let's look at the 3rd week for December for the air signs. Dragons don't want to talk today. That's interesting. So 3rd week of December. There we go. And it is the Royal Blue and Gold Dragon. Strengthen your stand in your power with wisdom. Awaken to your own majesty and wear your cloak of power with pride. So this dragon is really about accepting that royal divine state that you are. We are all children, I should say, not creatures. We're all children of God's source divine energy. We are created by multiple religions, not just Christianity, in the image and likeness of the Holy Trinity. And what this card is saying is you're a divine child. Now it's time to accept it. That doesn't mean arrogance. That means with quiet confidence. That's where wearing your power with wisdom comes in. You can be a powerful person and stand in your authority. This is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. The wisdom is knowing when to fight and really bow up and defend, and when it's time to just let the other person have their opinion. And this card is really about know where you stand and be quietly confident in that stance. And the Royal Blue Gold Dragon can help you understand that balance of knowing when to step up and when to just let it go. But also to reaffirm that you are, in your own right, the creator of your own destiny. So let's look at the message from Source. It is the knowledge card. Seek knowledge. So wisdom is knowledge with experience. Knowledge is simply learning. So your guide this week is really about helping you understand where you stand in the world and how to stand in it in your full power of who you are. The message from Source is use your knowledge and expand it into wisdom. Take the things that you have learned and how can you help someone else? How can you teach the next generation? We're not here just for ourselves. We're also here to help prepare the way for the next generation, whether that's in teaching, whether that's in doing work that helps benefit the next generation. This card is really about accessing that knowledge that you have and spreading it forward, but also taking the opportunity when it arises to increase your knowledge base. So that's the message from Source. Let's look at your challenge or lesson for this third week. And it is the Strength card, number 11, the Major Arcana card of Strength. Major Arcana cards are life lesson cards. So these are things that we either have to overcome or things that we need to work on. And this week is really about standing in who you are and using that knowledge and that wisdom to prepare the next generation, but also to increase our own knowledge to build as far as the air signs. And the challenge or the lesson is strength. How can you show your strengths? How can you stand in your power with the royal blue and gold dragon, knowing what you know and being able to quietly, confidently stand there and say, this is what I know and this is where I'm at and this is where I choose to grow, still seeking knowledge and preparing the way, and how can you show your strength within that? Because sometimes when you stand in your own power, like the blue and gold dragon are saying, stand there and be strong, be heard with wisdom in the right point. And sometimes the biggest strength is knowing when to not respond, knowing when to walk away from a fight, of argument, or however. But the Strength card is really about how can you show your strength while still standing in your confidence, while still preparing for the next generation and learning and expanding your knowledge and transmitting that down to the next generation. And so look at how you can in this third week really work with that energy. So your guide or guardian for this fourth week of December is the blue dragon from the Pleiades, preparing you to accept source healing, accept a heart activation, give and receive heart healing. So this fourth week is really about tapping into your heart, tapping into that loving vibration from God, Source, Divine Energy. And when you work with the blue dragon from the Pleiades, you're bringing in that higher frequency of love that will elevate you. So work with this dragon and also tap into God, Source Energy and allow your heart to open up. The heart chakra, the physical organ, radiates an aura around it, a magnetic field, and they're just starting to understand this in science. But what that does is it actually affects the people around you. So when you activate and work with your heart chakra energy with God's Source Divine Energy, it actually starts to expand a loving vibration, and people around you will notice that. And what this card is saying is be open to a heart activation in this fourth week. And a heart activation is something that you do or someone does it for you, but you feel it 100% centered in your heart, and it really wakes up that loving feeling, that totally 100% no strings attached divine agape love. And that's what this dragon is going to help you work with in this fourth week. So let's look at the message from Source. And we have dreams. So the message from Source is dreams. Believe in your dreams. You're working with the blue dragon from the Pleiades, and it's helping you understand your connection to Source and allowing your heart to open up and expand that knowledge. And so you have dreams coming in saying, as you expand your heart, you're going to wake up as part of this pattern of waking up. When you start to tap into your heart especially, you're going to start having more vivid dreams, or the dreams that you had when you were a child, working with the animals, working with the outdoors, maybe even growing plants, something along those lines. They're being very specific with Earth with this message, and it's saying tap into that. What was it you wanted to do as a child? What dream was it that, as life has occurred, you may have put on the back burner? Bring it forward and look at how you can work with that, because you might be able to work with the blue dragon from the Pleiades and expand your heart energy by working on your dream, even if it's something minor in the evenings after work, and allowing that dream to manifest and fully bloom forward, and allow it to help grow with the next generation and work with what you're already doing to help the next generation. But it's something that you've thought about, you focused on, and you used to dream about all the time, but for whatever reason, life happens, you put it on the back burner. And this card is saying, bring it back forward. You have the God Source Divine Energy coming in. Your heart is opening and expanding. Now it's time to start working with your dreams as well. So your message or challenge, or lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Nine of Chalices. So you have a balance of 3 times 3. So you have 3 threes, and that is a really stable structure. And that's what you're working on, is you've come a long ways with your emotions, and now you're getting more stable with them. Your water element works with emotions shifting and change. You've done all this work, and now it's coming up to that point. You're almost at the finish line to start over. But that's a good thing, because you start over at a higher frequency. And you've built and you've grown, and this is really about a spiritual connection, learning to go with the flow. As you look, this young lady is clothed in her lavender and violet robes, and it's really tapping into that spiritual connection. When you tap into your spiritual connection, it's not just about logic, reason, and intellect. It also is about your emotions and learning how to love at a deeper place. So your challenge for this 4th week is really about expanding your love and your heart, working with these other energies, and how can you use that for the future, but also how can you use it to connect up into the higher frequencies with God and the angels and the dragons, of course. So let's look at the last week of the month, the 5th week of December. And I usually run my weeks Sunday through Monday. That's the reason I set them up like that. So your last week is the Silver Dragon. Illuminates your potential with higher light. Access untapped resources. Look into your soul and see the higher possibilities. So the Silver Dragons are all about really working with your intuitive states, tapping into that subconscious mind. The higher you can activate within your own consciousness, the more connection to source, bringing in your higher self, even going so far as to activate and work with your holy guardian angel, which is a whole nother subject, is all about tapping into that higher frequency. You're working with your intuition. Silver is the metal of the moon and the metal of water. This is emotional stability. This is emotional balance. It's bringing your intuition, your clairs, your ability to see, hear, think at a higher frequency, knowing things without actually studying them. It's tapping into that higher frequency of who you are. So when you work with the Silver Dragon, be aware that your intuition is going to start stepping forward. Your craving for balance, your hunger for divine connection is going to grow as well, just by the very presence of this dragon. So let's see what the message from Source is with that coming in. And the Silver Dragons actually show up very metallic and very shimmery. So if you get the chance in a dream state to see one, you'll remember that. Because they're very noticeable when they show up, because they're so flashy. So let's look at your message from Source. It's memories. Cherish memories of loved ones. So during this 5th week of December, you're working on connecting, and you have that hunger for the divine connection. You're working with your intuition, and part of that is looking back to the past. Look at the people who've helped you grow. Look at how far you've come because of their help. Even if the person has passed over, keeping their memory alive is a way for a person to basically achieve a form of immortality, because their memory is still alive. And so thinking back to the people who you have passed over and how they've helped you grow, even if during their lifetime it was frustrating, when you look back now, you can see that they actually did help you, even if they didn't realize it in a physical way. But sometimes those struggles and those harsher people you're going to remember fondly later on because they taught you very valuable life lessons. And so your message from Source is to look back at the people who have helped you along the way and send them gratitude and thanksgiving. And if necessary, work with some forgiveness practices. You don't have to, go to them and say, I forgive you. But you can do it in meditation. You can do it through prayer. You can pray to God Source Energy to release that frustration, release that past, and help you find forgiveness within your heart. So let's look at the lesson or challenge from the tarot. We have number 13, the Death card in the Major Arcana. Now, these are life lessons. And so this card really is about letting go, letting something end, letting it finalize. It's whatever is coming forward, and you'll know when you're listening to this, or even a little while after, you're going to come to that conclusion of that's what that meant. This 5th week, you're looking to connect deeper into the divine. You're thanking the people in your past who have helped you get to where you're at. And when you have the Death card coming forward, this is a time of what is it that you're trying to end? It's not a physical death, it's a spiritual or emotional death. What is it you're done with? What is it you just want it to go away? You're closing the door on that aspect. And sometimes it might be you've been carrying a level of grudge, and that's where the memories are talking about, is when you look at that, did they really actually, they may have damaged you, don't get me wrong, but have you learned from that? Because if you have, it's time to let go of that grief. It's time to let go of that anger. It's time to kill, if you will, that past. Allow it to let go. And the Death card is coming forward saying there's challenges in when you're doing releasing. There's challenges when you are allowing those negative emotions to quote unquote die. But this card is saying it's time to let it go. Let go of the regret. Let go of the frustration. Let go of that past that really is not serving you anymore. Preparing yourself to step into a higher, more positive future. Don't forget the lesson that was taught, but let go of the anger, the frustration, and the emotional charge that goes along with it. And that's where working with your Silver Dragon and God Source Energy to look at those memories from a clarified state and release that stuff that doesn't help you anymore. So, hopefully that resonates for you guys in the air world. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like below, subscribe if you like this kind of content, and just as a heads up, sometime around the end of December, I'm not sure if I'll live stream or I may do it through another videos, but I'll do an outlook ahead for the year of 2023 for each of the 4 elements. So keep your eyes open for that, and I will talk to you guys in a future video.